Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening if it is for you. We are coming in live for another episode of the podcast. We are here and ready to rock and roll. So, what's going on, my brothers, my sisters? I hope you're having a beautiful start to the morning. We're going to be kicking start this episode in just 2 minutes, and so if you're coming into this one live, guys, let us know that you're here and ready to rock and roll, and we shall be kicking this in 2 minutes. So this is going to be a bit of a reflection episode, particularly around 75 hard. All right. So obviously we started that this week, and it is very cool to be getting back into something challenging. And so if you're coming into this one live, let us know that you're here, guys. I'm just making sure the streams are set up, and so we can kick this off in 1 minute. So if you come into this one on replay, make sure you hashtag replay in the comments so that we know you've been here, that you've got the love. And then we shall be ripping in. Hey, Kellyanne, I hope you're good, girlfriend. What's going on? I hope you've had a beautiful start to your morning as well, mate. So, guys, 30 seconds, and we're running with this one. We got some sun here in Canada, so it feels nice. Ooh! Tell you what, the vibes completely change when you've actually got some sun in your life, right? Ah, so good, so good, so good. So guys, if you come into this one on replay, make sure you hashtag replay in the comments so that we can see that you've been here and got the value. And of course, if you've got any episodes that you would like covered, I'm more than happy if you've got those suggestions for you to bring them in, and we can certainly do them. So I'm going to bring in our final 2 streams here on Instagram and TikTok, and we are live as we're ever going to be. So, guys, good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you're having a great start to the morning. We're going to kickstart this episode. So this episode is going to be a reflection on 75 hard, some early teachings that we've got. So let's get stuck into it on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets, the unsustainable workout programs, and we're live across Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And I'm here to help you lose body fat if that's your main goal. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this episode's about. I think that me doing 75 hard and starting that this week has helped me immediately to remember what our clients go through when they join our program. What you guys are going through when you feel like you've just started your transformation, or you're thinking about starting a transformation and wondering how should you go about it. Now, a while ago, many years ago, I heard this saying that you need to be reminded more than you need to be taught. I'll say it again. You need to be reminded more than you need to be taught. What does that mean? Everyone thinks that they need more and more and more and more and more and more information. And they get to this point where they're completely overwhelmed with information. So give me a silent head nod if this is you. Okay, if this is you. If you've fallen down the TikTok or YouTube or Instagram hole where you start consuming all this information, and during the consumption of this information, you make the conclusion that everyone seems to argue with each other. These so-called fitness industry experts seem to have the opposite opinions. Do cardio, don't do cardio, lift weights, but not too many weights. You need to focus on mobility. You need to do your nutrition first. And it's just like, it's so overwhelming. And I can see why people out there who are just trying to get started don't know where to start. That's why we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. So I'm going to go over my early reflections. We're going into day 4, I think it is, of 75 hard. And I want to talk about the 10 things that I'm instantly reminded of now that I'm back into some strictness around my own personal fitness journey. So let's get started. Number one is this. You guys know that tracking your nutrition is it's probably the most important thing that you can actually do, right? It's probably the simplest way for you to actually be able to take control of your weight loss journey. However, one of the biggest complaints that people say when they start their journey is that I don't want to track my calories. And the reason is because it's a bit of a pain in the ass to use MyFitnessPal, right? No one enjoys it. No one thinks it's fun. But we do it because we know that it will get us closer to our goals. So the realization that I've personally made is to accept that tracking with MyFitnessPal is annoying. Like, I hate it. But if you have that annoyance in your life, but you do it anyway, you want to make it as easy as you possibly can make it for yourself, right? And when you do that, guess what? You only eat food which is easy to track. Now, I'll give you an example of this. For those of you that are eating lasagnas every second night or spaghetti bolognese, to actually plug that into MyFitnessPal, it's really difficult because you have to add the individual ingredients, right? And then you got to divide it by the serving size. And it's just so freaking complicated. You're just like, give up, I quit tracking. But if you focus on consuming single ingredient, whole food items, guess what? Guess what? Tracking is so fucking simple. It's so simple because here's what you do. You grab a banana and you go, one banana in MyFitnessPal. Or you grab an orange and you go, orange. Or you grab a piece of meat and you weigh the piece of meat and you add it. Or you grab a piece of salmon and you weigh the salmon and you add it. The moment that you start to create all these fucking recipes that are tough to track, you start to go, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. I give up and quit. And therefore your tracking goes out the window. You have no idea what your calories are and therefore you don't lose weight. If you accept that I'm going to track, but I'm only going to track the foods that I can eat. And when you I'm only going to eat the foods that I can track. And when you do that, guess what? Fat just leaves your body so quickly, it's not even funny. And it happens because you are tracking and you're forcing yourself to do it. So the first thing I want to remind you of is that you can go and do all the cardio and all the weightlifting in the world. You can exercise your ass off. But guess what? You are never going to make any progress until you get your nutrition right. And if you dial that in, watch the fat come off. Number two, we really don't drink enough water, do we? I am straight up honest. I drink a lot of coffee. I drink about like 5 of these a day of instant coffee, and my mug's a bit grubby, of course. The problem is that when I'm drinking that, I'm not drinking that. Water. So, who gives a fuck? Like, why do you actually care? Well, because of the fact that when you drink water, you actually offset your hunger signals. Most of the time, people think that they are hungry, but they're not. They're not actually hungry. They're thirsty. That's what's going on. And so if you actually just drink more water, what ends up happening is you feel less hungry. That's number one. But number two, what did I just say to you? If I'm drinking this, then I'm not drinking this. Now, for me, this is coffee, right? 50 mils of milk is what I have per instant coffee. I've weighed it out, okay? So 50 mils of milk, 1% milk I have is about 30 calories. So it's fucking nothing. For you and you, what is it? If it's not water, what is it? Now, if you say that it's tea, Diet Coke, some sort of sugar-free sodas, they are really, really good substitutions. But the problem is for most people, it's not water, it is a full cream latte from Starbucks, it's juice, it's Coke, it's sodas, it's alcohol, and that's why they never lose weight. So the very act of prioritizing this causes you to lose fat. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to be brutally honest, I'm not a big fan of water. Like, it's fucking boring, to be honest. I don't know about you guys. Like, I I don't enjoy drinking it. Like, I sit there and watch my kids, and my kids are like, "Oh, Daddy, I love the water." I'm just like, So what do? The simplest thing you can do is get a Berocca, which is basically B vitamins, or you can get an electrolyte, a sugar-free electrolyte powder, and just dump it in your water. And all of a sudden, it's not water anymore. It doesn't affect the hydration, but all of a sudden, it just tastes really good. And then you might have different things that you can do to that. For example, you might exchange part of it for a diet soda or something like that, but it just becomes so easy to do. And when you've got a goal, and the goal of 75 Hard is you've got to drink a gallon of water a day, which is about 4 liters for those of you in metric. Like, based on my tracking so far, I probably drink, this sounds really bad from a health coach, right? 3/4 of a liter of water just by itself. If I was just doing it by itself. But I'm having all this other stuff like diet sodas and mineral water and instant coffee. It all contains water, but it's really not giving me the same hydration level and fat loss benefits as this stuff. Okay, let's keep going on. Number 3, when you have an intention and a goal, you feel extremely motivated, right? You have direction. So guys, for those of you who are watching on the different socials, let me know in the comments, have any of you done something like a challenge before? Or 75 Hard or something like that? Let me know in the comments if you've done that. Because what happens is the moment you've actually set a goal, all of a sudden your focus starts to narrow. And humans are really, really good at getting excited about short-term goals. When you have this goal to, like, I don't know, run a marathon and it's 12 months away, it's a bit hard to stay excited about that. But the idea of a short-term goal like 75 days or 30 days, this is a really good strategy to get you into momentum. I've got one of my old clients who's doing it with us, one of our OGs, and he messaged me and he goes, "Man, I'm feeling so motivated right now because of the fact that I've got a goal again." It feels refreshing to have a goal. So if you're listening to this and you're listening to this, do you have an actual goal? Because I tell you what, if you're not, that's the equivalent of jumping in your car in the morning and thinking, "Cool, I'm gonna go for a drive." And then where are you driving to? I don't know, I'm just going for a drive. Where to? I'm not. Where do you go when you get to the first stoplight? I don't know, because I don't know where I'm going. That's the way people are navigating their life. So if you can instead be focused on trying to get somewhere, and particularly doing these short-term goals, maybe a month or 2 long, these start to add up and create momentum. And when you create momentum, you build confidence. Okay, let's keep going on. Number 4, when you have a plan, you're not so reliant on motivation. Everyone's sitting here wishing for more motivation, right? Oh, I want to be more motivated. Oh, I wish I was more motivated. But the truth is, right, some days we're motivated. Yesterday, I felt very unmotivated. Today, I feel extremely motivated. Tomorrow, I might not be motivated. Motivation's going to come and go like the weather. It's going to feel like happiness and sadness, emotional and not. It's temporary. It's just a feeling. So if your entire progress in your transformation is dependent on you being motivated, then you're effectively building your transformation on very, very unsafe platform. It's just not going to work. If you're building your progress on a plan, a structured plan where you wake up and do this, you're not needing to motivate yourself because it becomes automatic. The great thing about 75 Hard is you've got to think in advance, how am I going to fit this in? So now I'm waking up and doing, as opposed to waking up and thinking, or waking up and trying to motivate myself. Does this make sense? So for you, the question I've got for you is, do you actually have a plan? Vast majority of people, I'm just going to be completely frank, the vast majority of people, they confuse a plan with a strategy. I understand the strategy of fat loss. How many of you understand that you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat? Like, Nearly everyone, because it's everywhere you look. But how many people are doing it? They're not, because they've got a strategy, but they don't have a plan of action, which is about implementation. Don't just be like, okay, I need a calorie deficit. You need to be like, how am I going to achieve a calorie deficit? How do my meals actually look? If you need a plan, that's when you come and join our academy, because we give you a plan. Okay, let's keep going. Number 5, when you track everything, and I'm talking your weight, your waist circumference, your nutrition, your workouts, you get a very accurate picture of what is going on in your life. And so this is important because so many people would relate to this comment. Fat loss is simple, but it's hard because it's emotional. Let's face it, no one wants to be overweight. No one wants to be overweight. No one thinks, oh man, I wish I was overweight. It happens because we're struggling to deal with our emotions, our shit that's going on in our life. So we can't prioritize our health. So what ends up happening is our health falls off. This isn't because you wanted this. It's because all of a sudden you got swept away by the emotions of life and trying to juggle everything, right or right. And so when that is the case, one of the things that you can do is just bring back some data so that it helps you to focus on the process instead of focusing on the outcome. When you try to control weight loss, I'll tell you what's clear to me in my own tracking is through 75 Hard, my weight fluctuates by about a half a kilo, or what's that? Just over a pound a day, right? Even when I'm measuring at the same time of the morning, it's fluctuating consistently. Now, think about that as almost like the graph is almost like a roller coaster. If I'm sitting there riding that roller coaster every fucking day, it's going to be so hard. Oh, I lost a half a kilo. I'm not worrying about that. I'm worrying about what I'm doing. What's my nutrition like? What are my workouts like? Am I getting stronger? What am I putting in my mouth? How much sleep did I get? How much water have I drunk? When you start to look at the data, it helps you to get control so you can focus on the process instead of becoming emotional about the outcome. Now, in saying that, no one likes the data because the data exposes them, right? The data is like the truth. But if you can commit to the data, if you can start to give yourself a little bit of a picture of what you're doing, all of a sudden the results are going to come. There's this old phrase that says, what is measured gets managed. What is measured gets managed. I mean, look at the best sporting teams in the world. They have data down to the dot to help them make better decisions about how they're going to change their strategy. So when you start to track data, it really, really helps. Okay, number 6 is that you don't have no time. You just prioritize the things that take the most amount of time over what's important. And I think this would really ring true for a lot of people. Is there a single person listening to this podcast episode that has lots of time? Just like a sample. Comment me if you've got lots of time. I'd like to know if there's anyone here with lots and lots of time. Anyone? Anyone? Going, gone? I didn't think so. No one's commenting me because no one's got time. No one's got an abundance of time. It's not about time. This fucking time thing, it's not about time. I have no time. This is not the right time to do 75 Hard. It's not. But I needed to do something to challenge myself, so I made it a priority, which effectively means other less important things get squeezed out. Now for you, if you've got type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, you're 40 years old, you got kids, and you're a ticking time bomb, dude, just ask yourself, what's the actual priority if you want to be around on the earth for another 40 years? It's hard because we all think that the issue is off in the future. And I get it, because I do the same thing. But bring it home. It doesn't have to be so hard. We've just got to make some simple changes to your nutrition and the way you move, and the fat will start peeling off. Okay, let's keep going. Number 7, These are the reflections from 75 Hard that I've taken so far. This one's really, really easy. Walking is awesome. Walking is awesome. It sounds so basic, but getting up in the morning, like an hour earlier than you should, to do a walk and nothing else, that's a really good strategy for everyone. And I could go into the details of why it's awesome from a metabolism point of view. It makes you more insulin sensitive, so therefore less hungry, etc., etc. But that's all just crap, right? When you go for a walk and you're up before everyone else, taking a walk, guess what happens? You might see a sunrise, but some part of you is in this like present moment where there's not as many cars, there's not as many horns, there's not as much traffic, and you just get to be present. Now, I'm not saying that it's possible for everyone to do that, but if you can, get up and take your mind out into the world and not stare at a phone, holy shit, the creativity that you have when you do that is next level. There's something about walking and being present, stopping the chatter in your mind and just letting ideas come out that is phenomenal. All right, 3 to go. I nearly didn't start. I nearly did. And Tracy says, I couldn't agree. And Vanessa's saying, I'm so time poor. See, Vanessa, I just want to jump in here and I hope you don't mind me saying, Vanessa, you are time poor, but like not offensively. I just want to make sure that it's not offensively. You're saying I'm time poor as if that's unique to you. Like I'm fucking time poor. I've got 2 kids and 300 clients and a wife that's away for the next week. Like I'm time poor. And what we tend to do in our mind, I think, is we have this like internal dick swinging contest about who's more time poor. And we use our time poorness as a reason we can't do anything. The thing that I always think about is one of my idols, or at least guys that I think is incredible, is Richard Branson. I want you to have a think about, let me just ask you a question, Vanessa, and it's only because you had the bravery to actually comment this. Do you think you're more time poor than Richard Branson or not, given that he operates many multi-million-dollar companies, has like thousands of staff? Do you think you're more time poor than him? I think you're going to say no, right? And so it's not about available time. It's about priority. And I'm going to sit here and say I'm the exact same as you, Vanessa. I'm time poor as well. So we're both time poor, but will that be the excuse, or will that be the thing that actually causes us to want to change? Because I'm so time poor and so fucking tired all the time and I can't haul oh my God, just carrying around this 20 kilos is just hard and it's difficult. You're absolutely right. It is. So that's the reason you got to get healthy. It's not the excuse, it's the reason. And you got to be willing to say, you know what? I am time poor, so I will, not so I won't. But I appreciate the comment as well. Let's keep going. Alcohol. I very nearly didn't do 75 Hard, and there's a very simple reason for it. Right here in Canada, where I live most of the year, it's sunny, and this is, to be honest, a shout out to my Canadian friends. This is the only time it's worth living in Canada for these 3 months. Like, I'd much prefer to be in my home country of Australia. But that aside, it's sunny, and for me, sun goes with drinking beer. Especially if you've got a pool. Everyone else agree? Like, are we on board with that? Like, that's what summer's about. Enjoying a few beers, by the poolside, relaxing a little bit. So I very nearly didn't do it. So then last weekend before 75 Hard started, I went to the supermarket, not even the alcohol store, and I bought a case of 0 alcohol Coronas in cans. I bought a 12-pack, right? And I drank them by the pool. Not all of them, 3 or 4 of them by the pool. And then I realized that actually it's not the alcohol that I'm craving. It's the ritual of having a beer next to the pool in the sun that I'm craving. So when I actually just took that beer, the alcohol beer, and put it to the side, and then had the lower calorie, zero alcohol beer, it was exactly the same. I don't drink to the point of getting drunk anyway. I only have 2, 3, 4 beers. And not only did I get rid of the alcohol, but I got rid of a third of the calories as well by making that choice, and still sat next to the pool and had a beer in the sun with my kids. So I did the exact same thing. And that could have been the reason that it derailed me. I am wholly convinced that alcohol is such a fucking major problem in society that people going home and plastering themselves with beers because they feel depressed and they feel shit. And I totally get it. Like, it's hard when you've got kids and you're trying to juggle 1,000 million things at once and you're overwhelmed. You're like, fuck, right? I get it. But at the same account, it is the thing that is ruining people's lives. And if you can try to do a 30-day detox, like one of my great clients, Trent Cooper, who's just done exactly that and lost 8 kilos in a month. For those of you that are in the other side of the world, that's 20 pounds in a month. 20 pounds in a month just by quitting drinking at night because he realized it wasn't helpful for him. Have a think about that. Number 9, whatever that is. I love the gym. That's one of my realizations. Give me an absolute yes if you love the gym. I'll tell you what, for most people that don't go to the gym, they look at people that go to the gym and they think, well, I just don't like it and I don't really think that, it's for me. And it's kind of because that, like, physically, they don't see themselves there. They don't see themselves as a gym person. That is until they become a gym person. For me, this is literally so much more mental than it is physical. When you go to the gym and let's just pretend you're a beautiful young woman and you're getting under a Smith machine to do a squat. You might load up 20 kilos either side or 10 kilos either side. You can either do it or you can't. You don't get to cheat your way in the world at the gym. You can either do it or you can't. There's something that's really leveling about that. And if you can't do it, you think to yourself, oh, there's a little challenge for me. I don't have to compete against the guy over here or the girl over there. I need to get stronger so I can do that. This is a mind game. And I'm wholly of the belief that as much as an alcohol is killing people, if we could get the world to go to the gym, we would cure all rates of depression. Like, it would drop out of the world. And the latest science has shown that. It is one of the most effective ways to change the struggles that you've got up here is to go and lift weights. Please just try it. Please just fucking try it. Any person I'm so fired up today, guys, if you haven't worked out. Because why? Because I went to the gym. I went to the gym and lifted and got the lesson of it doesn't matter how big your head is. Doesn't matter how good you think you are. You are here like every other person, making your deposits, building your mindset. It is about the mindset more than it is about the physical. And if you get the mindset right, the physical will follow. Okay, I'm going to give you the final one. People think that being disciplined takes away from their freedom. It's actually the exact opposite. It gives you freedom. So, who's kind of had a friend say to them recently, so they're on a health transformation journey scenario, and they've had a friend say to them, well, man, like all this like tracking thing and you've got to go to the gym and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And they're kind of saying it as if, man, that must suck. You're not free. So I want you to think about that. If that's you and you're saying that, I want to give you an explanation. But if it's not you, you're going to totally understand my explanation. If you are someone that is fairly disciplined, here is what it does. When you are not disciplined at all, when you have no time for health, you don't invest any time, money, or energy in your health, you can do whatever you want in the short term. But then I want you to think about the consequences of what that has on your medium to long-term future. If you just do whatever you want, eat whatever you want, don't train, don't care, have no regard, you don't, like literally fuck that shit, I'm just going to live in the moment, like people say. Okay, great. So what happens when you're 20 kilos overweight and then you get on a plane? What happens when your kid comes to you and says, Mom, Dad, like I want to play, and you can't? What happens when you look at yourself in the mirror every morning and you feel this shrinking self-image? So you might think that being able to eat and do whatever you want gives you freedom, but actually it's a mindfuck. It actually keeps you stuck. And therefore the converse is true. When you eat in a way that is predominantly unprocessed healthy foods, when you track your nutrition, when you're disciplined about going for a daily walk, when you're reading a book and drinking your water and just doing behaviors imperfectly that help you to become more disciplined in your life, and your mates are sitting there looking at you thinking that you're too rigid and you must be having a tough time, I bet that you know that it gives you freedom. And I can give you the most simple example of this. From being adherent and disciplined in my approach over this 75 hard period, I'm literally getting to the end of the day and having 300, 400, 500, 600 calories left and then going, oh, I might have to have ice cream again. It's complete freedom. So your discipline creates your freedom, and your lack of discipline keeps you stuck. And if you're able to get through the first probably 30 to 60 days, almost certainly you're going to be provided with a level of freedom that you didn't think possible as your old self. So Tim, I'm going to wrap it there. You're probably getting some pretty palpable energy coming through your podcast today. I'm just super freaking excited about where we're going as our Better Body Academy. And if you're not in it, what are you doing? Come on, guys, shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll sort you out. But the reality is that this is an opportunity for you to listen to this podcast and reflect and have some thoughts about what I've gone. I'm not going to go back over the 10 points, but there's probably something here that stood out to you. And whatever that one thing is, don't procrastinate it. Don't think about it. How can you incorporate and implement that in your life? And if you do that, and you just start stacking these little mini habits really slowly, and every time you mess it up, just shake it off. Don't worry about trying to be perfect. Oops, reset, fucked up, start again. That's the approach. Don't try to be black and white in your approach. It just does not work. So guys, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast. That episode exploded to be a little bit longer than I expected, but I hope there was enough value in that to keep you tuned. I will see you guys in the next episode. Okay, so team, podcast over. Here to answer any questions. And please pop them in the comments, either on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or wherever you are, and they will display for me. I just want to make a point to all of the people that commented on TikTok about dealing with kind of underage lads and ladies. Look, legally, I don't like to go down the line of training people that are under 18. And the reason is because there is the possibility that you might injure yourself during some form of training. And, the law in most places defines under 18 as being still a minor. And for that reason, I can't engage in conversation or guidance or coaching to kids under 18. And that's not offensive. It just actually is. So I'm sorry if that's you. And I know that TikTok is, full of young people wanting to get healthy and fit. And particularly to those of you that are in your mid-teens and potentially struggling with bullying and the like it's really, really hard. It is, because where do you turn? This is where I just hope that your parents are providing you a little bit of guidance, because this is a really tough period in your life. I can remember being, many years ago, I can remember being in my teenage years and being a young fella trying to guide my way through, and it's fucking hard. And when you feel like you maybe don't fit in here, and it's like, it's tough. So have a chat to your parents, maybe open up to them, tell them how you feel. But that's the reason that I can't engage in conversation and go into details about meal plans and the like. Okay, so any other questions, pop them in the comments. I'm going to go to Vanessa. I don't know anyone that is doing what I'm trying to do. I'm surrounded by others that are having surgery or on Ozempic. Yeah, Vanessa, you know what? What a great comment. And thanks for being so transparent. It's really hard. And I'm not even going to knock people for doing that. Some people who are at the point where their weight is causing them such problems that they either do it or don't, maybe need to have surgery or maybe need to take Ozempic. The problem is that, Vanessa, I just want to reassure you of what you are doing inside of our academy. It's that none of those two things, surgery and Ozempic, they deal with the mechanism, okay? So they help with the actual weight loss itself, but there are side effects that most people don't know about, which cause long-term consequences if you don't know about them. And number two, they don't fix the underlying issue. Again, we talked about in the podcast that the majority of people are carrying weight because they haven't dealt with whatever they're dealing with in their life, right? It's not that they want to be overweight, okay? It's happening because of the fact that they're trying to process things. And so if you go and do surgery or you do Ozempic, essentially what you're doing is a very quick, large calorie reduction. One is by shrinking your stomach size. The other one is by making you totally not hungry and want any food. So let me talk about the consequences, because there's plenty of people that are interested in this. The consequences of this, Vanessa, for these people, if you don't keep your protein high and do resistance training, and you have a massive calorie cut, you will lose a lot of muscle. And you might be like, well, yeah, I don't care. I just want to be skinny. Okay. So you want to be skinny. Okay, cool. So you'll lose fat, definitely. Ozempic has been shown to be effective at helping you lose weight. You will lose fat, but you will also lose a lot of muscle if you're not eating enough protein and you're not doing resistance training, which most people are not, because the entire reason that they took Ozempic in the first place was because they didn't want to do that other stuff. So it tends to go hand in hand that most people taking that or having surgery are also not people who go to the gym, right? So I just want to be skinny. Okay, here's what happens. You lose a bunch of muscle. The number one determinant of the speed of your metabolism, which means the amount of calories you burn when you're just existing, which is 70% of the total calories you burn. So it's the biggest and most important thing. Well, muscle is the main determinant of that. So if you're losing bulk amounts of weight, but you're also losing bulk amounts of muscle because you're not doing resistance training and having enough protein, the long-term consequences are you might lose the weight. However, once the fat comes off, you get to a point where you're like, man, but I'm still emotional. Like just because I had surgery or just because I had Ozempic, the trauma that I had in my past, the pain that I'm still dealing with, the boredom that I have in my life, the depression that I still feel, that's still there. That hasn't disappeared. So what do? Eat. And so this time you eat, only that you haven't got the muscle now because you lost it, which means your metabolism is low, which means you stack on the weight quickly because you have a slow metabolism now. Now, if someone pairs up with a doctor and a coach like myself and works through this to have a good resistance training program, enough dietary protein, Ozempic can be beneficial. But most people won't do that, either because, oh, that's another cost, or because, oh, I just want to lose weight and be skinny. And then they will be shocked at what happens. We already know that we've got like 5 or 10 people in our academy that have had weight loss surgery and would be able to speak directly to what I'm saying here. It's not a cure-all. It has to be part of an overall lifestyle intervention plan. Okay, guys, any other questions that you might want to ask? And I'm happy to answer any and all questions. Just scanning across the different places. And so on TikTok, how do you lose belly fat fast? Well, okay, so I like the idea of losing fat quick. I think it's a good thing because it will then give you the confidence. If you're needing to lose belly fat and it's taking a long, long time, then typically what happens is people get unmotivated and end up dropping off, right? So I don't know if fast is the word. I think it's probably more, how do I do it safely? How do I get it off in the shortest amount of time and then keep it off? Well, we've got a system that we teach inside our academy, and it's called the trifecta. You basically need to move as much as possible without it becoming undoable. You need to eat better in a calorie deficit, and you need to go to the gym and lift weights. If you do those 3 things, that's the perfect combination for fat loss. Now, there are individual specificities that it would be to your case, such as how many calories should I be eating? How much protein should I be eating? Based on how heavy you are, how much exercise should you be doing? Based on how confident you are in the gym, should you start at home with body weight, with dumbbells? Like, how do you incorporate that in? But as a basic framework, they're the 3 things you need to do. Get your nutrition right, walk more or do more active stuff, and lift weights. Make sense? Hopefully that helps a little bit. More questions coming through from TikTok. So if you want to leave this, guys, obviously just kick off. All right, a mate of mine just drinks his calories via alcohol, and after having that surgery, yeah, poor mindset. Well, yeah, it is, Gareth, but it's very, very common, man. It's like, not in any way. That's like what happens. That's what happens all the time. People think that the weight loss is going to cure the mindset they have, and it doesn't. So they go home and punish alcohol or punish sodas because they've had a surgery which reduces the size of their gut. So then they go and start to drink more and more fluids because they don't get as full and end up packing the weight back on. Now, that's a great example, Gareth, of if you lose muscle at the same time as you lose weight, that's a recipe for disaster, because what ends up happening is now you're going to stack back on the weight after you lost from the surgery, only this time with a slower metabolism, which means getting back into a calorie surplus is just going to be so easy to happen. Does this make sense, bro? What else we got? What to eat if you want to lose fat? Good question. There is no single food that you need to eat to lose fat. You can eat chocolate and lose fat. You can eat bananas all day and put on fat. It comes down to the totality of the calories that you're eating and a couple of extra things about what you're doing with your lifestyle. So people that kind of want a quick fix, which, you know, is the is the generation, right? It's like, what do I do to do this? It's like, more often than not, it depends on the individual situation, but there's no one food that you eat which causes fat loss. I don't know if that's worth saying, but it needs to be said. There's no food that causes fat loss. There's only the totality of calories that you're eating over the course of a day that determines whether or not you lose weight or not. Questions, guys? Anything else? Otherwise, that's going to be a wrap from yo. Okay, team, I'm going to love you and leave you there. Hopefully that's helpful. Thanks for everyone that come in, got value. Peace out. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheerio.